Blood, the river of life, flows ceaselessly through our veins, sustaining every breath, every movement, every impulse of thought. Warm, red, dense with the history of evolution and the chemistry of life, it transforms our bodies from mere collections of bones and muscles into living systems. In every drop lies an entire universe. Millions of blood cells navigate vessels, carrying oxygen, nutrients, chemical signals, and defenses against disease. Yet blood is more than a biological fluid. It is a symbol of strength, courage, life, and death. From the dawn of human history, it has inspired fascination, used in rituals, revered as medicine, considered a magical sign. Encoded within it is our metabolism, our immunity, our history. Every minute that blood courses through the body is a miracle of precision and harmony. Unseen yet indispensable. For centuries, we have studied it, separated its components, transfused it, analyzed it, yet it remains full of mysteries. What truly keeps blood alive? Why do certain diseases alter it so rapidly, sometimes threatening the entire organism? Why do its color, consistency, and rhythm matter so profoundly to life? Blood is no ordinary liquid. It is life in motion, pulsing and changing, powerful and fragile at once. We enter a world where every drop counts doubly, where blood not only sustains life but speaks of it in a silent, invisible language of chemistry and biology that science is only beginning to reveal. Blood is the unsung hero in the quiet theater of life, flowing through our veins and arteries. Invisible in everyday life, yet crucial to everything. It's not just the red liquid we notice when we get a cut. It is a complex transport system, a guardian of health, a repository of biological information, and the purest carrier of life itself. Blood is made up of plasma, water filled with proteins, sugars, electrolytes, and hormones, and cells that can be thought of as warriors, couriers, and builders all in one. The red color of blood comes from hemoglobin, a protein in red blood cells. It doesn't just carry oxygen. It also gives blood its buffering properties, helping maintain the body's acid-base balance. Its shade changes depending on how much oxygen it carries. Bright red in oxygen-rich arteries, dark red in veins after delivering oxygen to tissues. In other creatures, blood can astonish even more. Blue in octopuses, green in certain sponges, nearly transparent in deep-sea fish. Evolution has experimented with blood thousands of times, each form unique. Every drop of blood is a microcosm of information. It holds traces of past battles with disease. Modern medicine can read them: blood sugar levels, markers of inflammation, the DNA of viruses that once attacked us. Blood is a biological diary, recording life in real time. Blood is also a dynamic mechanical system. Every second, hundreds of millions of red blood cells flow through capillaries so thin that they must bend and squeeze to fit. Arteries withstand pressures comparable to a hydraulic pump at work, and the heart beats about 100,000 times every day. It's a continuous collaboration of physics, chemistry, and biology, ensuring every cell gets what it needs and waste products are removed. Blood is also a teacher of evolution and life. It contains proteins adapted to transport oxygen in the high mountains or the ocean's depths, enzymes that neutralize toxins, and antibodies that protect against unknown pathogens. It maintains a delicate balance between fluidity and clotting. Too little, and a person dies from bleeding. Too much, and dangerous clots can form. But blood is more than just a biological fluid. It is a symbol of culture and history. For centuries, it has been considered the essence of life, present in the rituals of ancient civilizations, literature, and in metaphors like the red thread of life. Today, thanks to science, every drop of blood can tell the story of a disease, reveal genetic secrets, and even save the lives of others. Blood is not just the red liquid filling our vessels. It is a dynamic transport system that keeps the body alive on every level. Imagine millions of miles of blood vessels as a network of highways, constantly bustling with millions of cells, molecules, and signals. Each one has a job, a destination, and a precise time by which it must arrive. Without this meticulous logistics, the body couldn't function even for a few minutes. The most well-known role of blood is transporting oxygen. Red blood cells, packed with hemoglobin, capture oxygen in the lungs and carry it to every cell in the body. Their oxygen is essential for burning glucose in the mitochondria, a process that produces the energy needed for movement, thinking, and breathing. Oxygen travels in fractions of a second, and every organ, from the brain to the tiniest muscle in the toe, receives exactly what it needs. But blood doesn't stop at delivering oxygen. It also transports nutrients absorbed from the intestines. Sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, and vitamins reach the tissues at just the right time so that cells can grow, repair damage, and perform their functions. At the same time, blood collects the byproducts of metabolism: carbon dioxide, urea, acids, excess ions. These unnecessary or harmful substances are carried to the body's excretory organs, the lungs, kidneys, and liver, where they are removed or processed. Blood is not just a delivery system. It's also a purification network that keeps the body's internal environment in balance. Chemical transport is not all blood does. It is also a messenger system, carrying hormones that regulate processes throughout the body. Insulin controls blood sugar, adrenaline prepares the body for sudden effort, and cortisol responds to stress. Through blood, every organ and every cell receives the right signal at the right time, and the body functions like a perfectly synchronized machine. We must not forget blood's role in protecting the body. White blood cells patrol the vessels, recognizing and destroying viruses, bacteria, and foreign cells. Clotting, carried out by platelets and plasma proteins, protects against life-threatening blood loss with every cut or vessel rupture. Blood is simultaneously a courier, a purifier, and a guardian, all in one. When you look at the whole picture, it becomes clear that blood is far more than the sum of its parts. It is a communication, transport, and defense system that constantly keeps life in balance. Every drop carries oxygen, nutrients, and hormones, while also removing metabolic waste, protecting the body from threats. It is a pulsating network of life, invisible yet absolutely essential, the true heart of every human being's functioning. Blood in the human body is more than just a red liquid. It's a living system, where volume and proportions are absolutely critical for life. An adult weighing around 154 pounds, 70 kilograms, carries roughly 5 to 6 liters of blood. That's about 7 to 8% of the total body weight. Imagine that this relatively small volume of fluid, coursing through millions of miles of blood vessels, sustains every organ, every muscle, and every single cell, constantly delivering oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and carrying away metabolic waste. Blood operates in perfect proportion for the body. Too little blood and the body won't get enough oxygen and nutrients, leading to weakness, fainting, and in extreme cases, organ failure. Too much blood and blood pressure can rise dangerously, overloading the heart and vessels. That's why the volume of blood in the human body is the result of millions of years of evolution, perfectly tailored to the body's needs. Humans aren't the only fascinating examples when it comes to blood volume. In the animal kingdom, some creatures are truly colossal. Take the blue whale, the largest animal to ever exist. It can carry thousands of liters of blood, enough to fill an average swimming pool. This enormous volume ensures that oxygen reaches every corner of a body that can stretch over 100 feet, 30 meters. Compared to a blue whale, humans look like a miniature transport system, but the principle is the same. Blood must reach every place it's needed. Blood volume also varies with age, sex, and physical condition. Infants have proportionally more blood relative to their body weight than adults, ensuring that their rapidly growing bodies get enough oxygen and nutrients. Athletes, especially endurance athletes, can have increased blood volume thanks to training, which improves oxygen delivery and boosts overall performance. Human blood is also a dynamic system. Its volume is not static. During physical exertion or stressful situations, the body can shift fluid from reserves in the liver, spleen, and peripheral vessels to increase blood availability for the heart, brain, and muscles. This is yet another proof that blood is not just a liquid. It's a flexible, living system responding in real time to the body's needs. Understanding blood volume and its proportions is vital in medicine. Every liter of blood can be the difference between life and death in the case of an accident, illness, or surgery. That's why transfusions, hematology tests, and careful monitoring are foundational to modern healthcare. Every drop, every milliliter counts, and therein lies the true power of blood. Hidden within our bodies and in the colossal giants of the animal world, plasma is the unassuming hero among the components of blood, a clear, straw-colored liquid that makes up about 55% of total blood volume. At first glance, it might seem like nothing more than water, but in reality, it's a complex solution that allows every cell in the body to function in harmony. About 90% of plasma is water, acting as a transport vehicle, carrying dissolved proteins, electrolytes, hormones, enzymes, and other substances essential for life. Plasma proteins serve many vital roles in the body. Albumins maintain osmotic pressure and help transport certain substances, including medications and hormones. Globulins participate in immune defense, carrying antibodies, while fibrinogen is critical for clotting. Without it, even the smallest cut could become catastrophic. The electrolytes in plasma: sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, chlorides, and bicarbonates are the unsung heroes that regulate water electrolyte balance, blood pH, and nerve impulse conduction. Without them, muscles couldn't contract, the heart couldn't beat rhythmically, and the brain couldn't process information. Hormones flowing through plasma act as messengers. Adrenaline, insulin, cortisol, and thyroid hormones travel throughout the body, telling cells when to speed up metabolism, when to store energy, and when to prepare for stress. Every chemical signal is transported with incredible precision and speed, reaching its destination in fractions of a second. Plasma also plays a role in thermoregulation, distributing heat throughout the body and helping maintain a stable body temperature. During exercise or in hot conditions, it helps dissipate excess heat by transporting it to the skin and kidneys, where it can be released. In this way, plasma is not just a carrier of life, but also a guardian of homeostasis. Its ability to support healing and maintain balance in the body is equally remarkable. When the body loses fluids or faces an infection, plasma acts as a flexible buffer, replenishing deficits, carrying antibodies, and aiding tissue regeneration. Even in times of crisis, it helps the body remain in relative equilibrium until normal function can be restored. In medical practice, plasma is invaluable. It is used in transfusions, burn treatments, therapies for clotting disorders, and in hospitals to save the lives of patients with severe injuries. Every milliliter of plasma, though clear and nearly invisible, is a carrier of life and information that determines the functioning of the entire body. Red blood cells, also known as erythrocytes, are the true couriers of life in our bodies. They have a concave disc shape like tiny donuts without a hole. And this is no accident. This form increases the surface area for oxygen contact and allows them to navigate even the narrowest capillaries with ease. Imagine their task: carrying oxygen from the lungs to every single cell in the body and collecting carbon dioxide to take it back to the lungs, all within seconds. Continuously, every day of our lives. At the heart of the red blood cell is hemoglobin, the protein that gives blood its characteristic red color. Hemoglobin binds oxygen in the lungs, forming a stable complex, and then releases it exactly where cells need it most. Thanks to this, every muscle, every nerve cell, every organ can function non-stop, whether you're running a marathon or sitting quietly at your desk. Interestingly, mature erythrocytes have no nucleus. They shed it during maturation to make more room for hemoglobin and become even more flexible. This flexibility allows them to bend, twist, and squeeze through narrow capillaries, sometimes smaller in diameter than the cells themselves. It's like a miniature tank maneuvering through a labyrinth of tiny tubes inside our body. Red blood cells also have remarkable endurance. Although they live for about 120 days, they constantly circulate in the bloodstream, enduring the forces of flow, pressure, and friction. When their lifespan ends, they are captured by the spleen and liver, and their components are reused to produce new blood cells or other essential molecules, such as iron. Their role doesn't stop at gas transport. They indirectly help maintain the body's acid-base balance and regulate blood pressure, supporting homeostasis. Each red blood cell is a microscopic, tireless worker, operating throughout life without pause. Indifferent to temperature changes, physical exertion, or stress. Without red blood cells, our bodies couldn't function for even a minute. They ensure that every cell receives the right amount of oxygen, that the brain stays alert, muscles stay active, and the heart beats in rhythm with life. Their discreet red dance through the blood vessels is one of the most fascinating miracles of biology. Mostly invisible, yet absolutely essential. White blood cells, also known as leukocytes, are the guardians of our body. While red blood cells carry oxygen, white blood cells carry protection, invisible, indispensable, and always ready for action. Their main task is to detect and neutralize threats, viruses, bacteria, parasites, and even our own cells that begin to divide abnormally. You could say that white blood cells are a mobile alarm system and special forces all in one. There is no single universal white blood cell. There are different types, each with its own specialty and strategy. Neutrophils act as the rapid first line of defense, attacking intruders immediately upon detection. Lymphocytes, including T and B cells, engage in a more sophisticated battle, identifying enemies, learning their strategies, and creating immunological memory so that the next invasion is met even more effectively. Monocytes and macrophages are the true battlefield cleaners, engulfing dead cells, bacteria, and debris, leaving the body ready for further action. Eosinophils and basophils specialize in fighting parasites and allergic reactions, often acting like chemical artillery, sending signals that mobilize the rest of the immune system. A fascinating fact is that white blood cells can move beyond the blood vessels. They squeeze through the walls of veins and arteries into tissues right where foreign particles are detected. It's like tiny invisible armies roaming the body, ready to react in every corner. Every movement is coordinated by chemical signals, internal pheromones that act as commands, directing the target and the course of the attack. Although indispensable, white blood cells have their limitations. Sometimes they overreact, attacking the body's own cells and causing autoimmune diseases. Other times, viruses can trick them, hiding from their watchful eyes. Their numbers and effectiveness vary depending on age, stress, diet, and overall health, which is why a healthy lifestyle directly supports the work of these microscopic warriors. Yet their presence is crucial not only during illness. White blood cells constantly patrol the body, maintain biological balance, coordinate regenerative processes, and are essential for wound healing. Each one is both a soldier and a scientist, studying, recognizing, reacting, and learning for the future. Without white blood cells, the body would be like a city without firefighters or police. The most complex mechanisms of life would stop functioning, and even minor infections could become deadly. Their quiet, relentless vigilance keeps our body ready for battle, even when we are completely unaware that the war is happening right now, beneath our skin. On a microscopic scale, platelets, also known as thrombocytes, are the silent guardians of our blood vessels. Though they are the smallest and most numerous after red blood cells, their role in the body is enormous. They decide whether a tiny cut remains a minor scratch or escalates into a serious problem. You could say platelets are microscopic watchmen, always ready to spring into action. They don't have a nucleus, but they are equipped with a variety of enzymes and receptors that allow them to react instantly to vessel damage. When the wall of a vein or artery is compromised, platelets immediately change shape. From small, round discs, they extend into projections like tiny anchors. They stick to the damaged site and to each other, forming a delicate barrier that prevents blood loss. This process, happening in fractions of a second, determines our safety. Stopping the bleeding is just the beginning. Platelets release chemical signals, growth factors, and proteins that activate other elements of the clotting system. In response, a clot forms, reinforcing the barrier and allowing tissues to begin the healing process. Each platelet acts like a miniature engineer, knowing exactly when to latch onto the injury and when to release its enzymes to start the repair process. Interestingly, platelets live only a few days, yet in that short time, they perform hundreds of coordinated actions. The body constantly produces new platelets in the bone marrow to maintain balance. Neither too many nor too few. Too few platelets can lead to easy bruising and bleeding, while too many can cause dangerous clots that threaten the heart and brain. Platelets are more than just guards and repairers. Their enzymes and signals influence blood vessel regeneration, wound healing, and even the body's inflammatory and immune responses. They work alongside white blood cells, supporting them in the fight against infections. In a way, platelets are a bridge between mechanical processes, clotting, and biological processes, protection and tissue repair. Under extreme conditions, platelets show an astonishing ability to work as a team. Even during serious injuries, when we lose blood, Hundreds of thousands of platelets can gather at the site of damage, forming an almost instant barrier. It's like an invisible rescue squad operating beneath our skin, saving lives every day, often unnoticed. Without platelets, our body would be in a constant state of danger. Every cut, every scrape could become a serious threat. Thanks to them, blood stays where it belongs, and our body has the time and space to repair itself. Thrombocytes also teach us how perfectly organized our internal microcosm is. Millions of microscopic units, acting in full synchronization to protect our lives. The circulatory system is more than just a network of pipes and pumps. It's a living, pulsating system that keeps us alive every single day, often completely unnoticed. It's the heart, arteries, veins, and microscopic capillaries forming a complex network through which blood flows, carrying oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and metabolic waste. The heart, that tireless pump, beats about 100,000 times a day, pushing blood through the body. It has 4 chambers, 2 atria, and 2 ventricles, working in rhythm like a perfectly synchronized clock. Each electrical impulse triggers a contraction of the muscle, and blood is ejected into the arteries with enough force to reach the furthest corners of the body. Over a lifetime, the human heart pumps millions of liters of blood. Yet it remains an incredibly efficient machine. Arteries are not just tubes, they are dynamic, flexible channels capable of adjusting their diameter to blood pressure and tissue demand. Each artery, from the massive aorta to the tiniest arterioles, is specialized to withstand the tremendous pressure of blood being pumped and to absorb the heartbeat's pulse. Thanks to them, blood reaches the brain, liver, muscles, and skin with full force. Veins act as the return system, carrying blood from the tissues back to the heart. They are less elastic than arteries, but equipped with valves that prevent backflow. This allows blood to travel against gravity, even from the legs to the heart. So we can stand and walk for hours without circulation problems. Capillaries are the microscopic arteries and veins that connect the entire system. Their diameter is so small that red blood cells must pass through one at a time. In these delicate channels, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients, and metabolic waste are exchanged. Each capillary is a tiny factory of substance exchange, invisible to the naked eye, yet crucial for the life of every cell. The circulatory system doesn't operate in isolation. The heart, arteries, veins, and capillaries work in tandem with plasma, blood cells, and platelets, forming a unified network where every component knows when to act and what task to perform. A slight dysfunction in one part can impact the entire system. High blood pressure strains the heart. Muscle ischemia leads to fatigue. And a clot in a small artery can trigger a cascade of consequences throughout the body. Fascinatingly, the circulatory system is adaptive. In athletes, arteries and the heart enlarge and become more flexible, increasing blood flow efficiency. At high altitudes, the body produces more red blood cells to survive in oxygen-poor conditions. During wound healing, capillaries can form new connections, speeding tissue regeneration. This system is both incredibly complex and perfectly synchronized. Millions of kilometers of blood vessels in an adult human body. Hundreds of billions of blood cells moving within them. Dynamic pressure and flow, all of it makes the circulatory system one of biology's greatest wonders. Without it, even the smallest cut could become life-threatening. And every single cell deprived of oxygen and nutrients would cease to function. The circulatory system works like a complex network of highways and side streets, through which blood constantly flows, delivering oxygen and nutrients while carrying away metabolic waste. This network is made up of 2 main circuits, the large or systemic circulation and the small or pulmonary circulation. Each plays a vital role and carries a different type of blood. The small, pulmonary circuit begins in the right ventricle of the heart, where oxygen-poor blood collects from the entire body. From the right ventricle, blood is pumped into the pulmonary artery, which carries it to the lungs. Here, a biological miracle takes place. Red blood cells, loaded with carbon dioxide, pass by tiny lung alveoli, where carbon dioxide diffuses into the air and fresh oxygen is absorbed. This process happens in fractions of a second, yet it ensures that every cell in our body can breathe. Oxygen-rich blood then returns through the pulmonary veins to the left side of the heart, ready to be sent out into the systemic circulation. The large systemic circuit starts in the left ventricle of the heart. From there, oxygenated blood flows into the aorta, the body's largest artery, and continues through smaller arteries to microscopic capillaries in every tissue. Here, oxygen leaves the red blood cells and enters the cells that need it for metabolism, while carbon dioxide and other waste products are collected. After this exchange, the blood becomes deoxygenated and flows through the veins back to the right atrium of the heart. Ready to begin the pulmonary cycle again, this continuous flow isn't just about gas exchange. The systemic circuit also delivers hormones, glucose, amino acids, lipids, and antibodies to every corner of the body, supporting organ and tissue function. Meanwhile, the pulmonary circuit acts as a purifier, refreshing the blood and preparing it for another cycle of life. The difference between oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood is striking. Not just chemically, but visually. Oxygen-rich blood is bright red, while deoxygenated blood takes on a darker, burgundy hue. This visual change is a subtle sign of the body's state, something doctors use to assess whether the heart and lungs are functioning properly. The large and small circulations work in perfect harmony. The heart synchronizes the rhythm of both circuits, ensuring continuous blood flow adapted to the body's needs. During physical activity, the heart beats faster, arteries widen, and capillaries and muscles actively participate in gas exchange, while blood continues its journey back to the right atrium. Ready to be re-oxygenated. Together, these circuits form a closed loop, in which blood constantly circulates, bringing life to every single cell. It's like a perfectly programmed mechanism that never rests, yet works non-stop throughout our lives, maintaining balance and keeping our bodies healthy. The heart is not just an ordinary muscle. It's a powerful pump that never stops working, beating in rhythm with life itself. Each heartbeat is like an orchestra of coordinated movements, and the blood is its music flowing in the right direction, at the right time, never running backward on its own. The right side of the heart collects oxygen-poor blood from the entire body, while the left side receives oxygen-rich blood from the lungs. When the ventricles contract, they push blood into the arteries, setting it on its journey through the two circuits, systemic and pulmonary. The pumping mechanism operates in 4 precise phases: atrial filling, atrial contraction, ventricular contraction, and full cardiac relaxation. Each phase lasts only a fraction of a second, yet it ensures that blood always moves at the right speed and pressure for the organs. When the left ventricle contracts, oxygen-rich blood is propelled into the aorta with enough force to reach the most distant vessels, from the tips of the toes to the ends of the fingers. The right ventricle, no less vital, sends oxygen-poor blood to the lungs, where it receives a fresh supply of oxygen. The heart works continuously, independent of our will. On average, it beats around 100,000 times a day, pumping millions of liters of blood over a lifetime. But it's not a simple, monotonous action. The heart adapts the strength and pace of each pump to the body's needs. While running, blood must reach the muscles faster. At rest, it prioritizes internal organs. The heart decides the priorities of blood flow, managing circulation to protect the body's most critical systems. It's also worth noting that the heart's pumping system relies on valves that prevent blood from flowing backward. Each valve, atrioventricular and arterial, opens at precisely the right moment, then closes immediately, ensuring blood moves in only one direction. Thanks to these valves, blood never slips back into the atria or veins, making each heartbeat as efficient as possible. The pressure generated by the heart is also a source of energy for the entire circulatory system. It pushes blood through the arteries, whose elastic walls absorb the pulse and dampen pressure fluctuations, ensuring smooth flow through the microcirculation. This is an incredibly delicate mechanism. Any slight disruption can affect blood flow and its ability to deliver oxygen. The heart, then, is more than a muscle. It's a strategic powerhouse driving blood, setting the rhythm for the entire body. Without it, circulation would be impossible, and the blood carrying oxygen, nutrients, and chemical signals could not fulfill its role. Each beat is a powerful impulse of life, coursing through veins and arteries, ensuring that every single cell in the body remains alert, active, and ready to function. The heart doesn't know the meaning of rest, yet in extreme situations, it changes its pace and strategy to meet the body's demands. Freedivers, for example, learn to control their breathing and heart rate, and their hearts can slow down to as few as 30 beats per minute, allowing their bodies to survive underwater far longer than they normally could. Blood is concentrated in the most vital organs, the brain and the heart, while less critical parts of the body enter a state of conservation, making oxygen a strategic commodity. In the mountains, at altitudes above 16,000 feet, every breath becomes a challenge. Atmospheric pressure drops along with the amount of available oxygen. The heart begins to beat faster, increasing blood flow to compensate for the oxygen deficit. And the body gradually produces more red blood cells so that each drop of blood can carry more oxygen. People who climb the world's highest peaks train their lungs and hearts for years, while Sherpas carrying heavy loads adapt naturally, developing incredible endurance in conditions that would be deadly for most. Endurance athletes also demonstrate just how adaptable the heart can be. In long-distance runners and triathletes, the heart grows larger and stronger, pumping more blood with each beat, while the blood becomes a more efficient oxygen transporter. The body learns to use every breath to its fullest, minimizing energy loss. Smoke and fire present yet another extreme test. In a smoke-filled room, oxygen levels drop, and the heart must compensate for the lack of air by accelerating blood flow, keeping oxygen available to the most sensitive tissues. People experience the sensation of suffocation, and every second becomes precious as the body fights for each breath. These adaptations show that the heart and blood are more than just a pump and a transport system. They are a dynamic mechanism that adjusts to the most extreme conditions. Every beat, every drop of blood becomes part of the survival machinery, a testament to the invisible but powerful work of the heart that sustains life even in the harshest environments. Blood is the fuel of life, and when it begins to run low, every second becomes a fight for survival. Losing even 10 to 15% of blood volume can trigger the first signs of weakness, dizziness, a racing heartbeat, and pale skin. At 20 to 30%, the body switches into alarm mode. The heart beats faster. Blood vessels constrict to maintain pressure and supply blood to the brain and heart. The body starts conserving oxygen in the most vital organs at the expense of muscles and skin. Extreme fatigue, disorientation, and immense effort accompany even the smallest movements. When blood loss reaches 40% of total volume, the body teeters on the edge between life and death. Without immediate intervention, hypovolemic shock occurs. Blood pressure drops. The heart can no longer pump efficiently, and tissues begin to die from oxygen deprivation. The body turns cold, lips and fingertips turn blue, and the pulse becomes irregular. This is the critical moment when medicine must act without delay. Modern medicine has an array of life-saving techniques for massive blood loss. Transfusions are the cornerstone. Whole blood, plasma, or red blood cell concentrates are administered to restore volume and oxygen carrying capacity. Doctors also use cryopreserved components, which can store plasma and platelets for long periods, and even synthetic oxygen carriers, which, though not a full replacement for blood, buy precious time in extreme situations. Throughout medical history, experiments on survival with near-total blood loss have been fascinating. For instance, in the 20th century, surgical procedures tested the controlled removal of up to half of a patient's blood volume, simultaneously replacing it with saline solutions and pressure-maintaining substances. These experiments revealed how the body compensates for blood loss and which organs are most vulnerable to oxygen deprivation. Rescue techniques in extreme conditions are also intriguing. Mountain rescuers, military personnel, and divers often act when blood or transfusions are unavailable. In such cases, cryoprotectants, isotonic fluid infusions, or circulation and breathing support techniques are employed to buy time until transfusion becomes possible. Every movement, every breath of the patient is critical. Remarkable cases of miraculous survival after massive blood loss exist. Stories of individuals who survived losing 50 to 60% of their blood during accidents or battles, often thanks to rapid intervention and the body's ability to redirect circulation from less vital areas. In these moments, blood and heart act like a rescue team, prioritizing the life of the brain and heart above all else. Plasma's role cannot be overlooked. While red blood cells transport oxygen, plasma over 90% water maintains pressure, distributes electrolytes, hormones, and nutrients. In massive blood loss, lack of plasma thickens the blood, slows circulation, and dramatically increases the risk of circulatory collapse. Yet blood loss is not only a matter of medicine. In extreme environments, mountains, deep seas, battlefields, the body activates survival mechanisms that scientists are still studying. Oxygen reserves in muscles, the production of additional red blood cells, constriction of peripheral vessels, and slowing metabolism all allow the body to buy time. In the fight against the invisible enemy, the lack of blood, this chapter shows that blood is more than just a red liquid in our veins. It is a system of life, a strategy for survival, and proof of the body's incredible ability to adapt. Every drop of blood, every heartbeat becomes the most precious resource in the world during these critical moments. Some medical cases seem almost unbelievable. People have survived losing more than half of their total blood volume, thanks to immediate intervention and the extraordinary resilience of the human body. One of the most extreme cases involved a person who, after a serious car accident, lost about 60% of their blood. Thanks to rapid blood transfusions and isotonic fluids, as well as maintaining body warmth and proper blood pressure, the patient survived. In moments like these, the body acts like a self-sufficient rescue system. The heart and brain are prioritized for blood flow, while the rest of the body goes into energy-saving mode. History also records extreme transfusions during surgical operations in the 20th century. Surgeons experimented with removing up to half of a patient's blood, replacing it with pressure-supporting fluids and plasma. These experiments helped scientists understand how the body compensates for blood loss and which organs are most sensitive to oxygen deprivation. They also led to the development of life-saving protocols for cases of massive blood loss. Asterisk. Another fascinating example involves deep-sea divers and astronauts, who in situations of extreme oxygen deprivation can survive far longer than the average person. Their bodies activate oxygen-conserving mechanisms, and reserves in muscles and blood delay the effects of oxygen loss. While not a direct transfusion, these adaptations demonstrate the body's remarkable ability to adjust, potentially saving lives even when circulating blood volume is very low. In modern medicine, record-breaking transfusions are also performed, where patients receive several liters of blood and fluids over the course of just a few hours. Such operations are incredibly complex, requiring careful synchronization of the heart, blood pressure, electrolyte balance, and body temperature. Every liter of blood matters, and a single mistake in flow can be catastrophic. Equally fascinating are experiments with blood stored frozen or processed into red blood cell and plasma concentrates. These techniques allow life-saving transfusions in remote parts of the world where immediate access to blood is impossible. Patients receive precisely tailored blood components, restoring both volume and transport functions, even after extreme loss. We also cannot forget about micro-scale life support. Hemoglobin, which carries oxygen, can be administered as concentrates or synthetic oxygen carriers, saving lives in extreme emergencies, such as natural disasters or war zones. In these situations, every drop counts, and the body makes maximum use of every unit of blood. Extreme cases of transfusion and survival show that blood is not just a biological fluid, it is a life system, a rescue strategy, and proof of the body's ability to adapt under absolute critical conditions. Stories of patients who survived losing half or more of their blood teach doctors that the human body is capable of miracles, and modern medicine can support it, even in the most dramatic circumstances. When the body gets a cut, it may seem like a simple thing, a small wound, a few drops of blood. But at that very moment, the most precise emergency system humans have kicks into action. Blood isn't just a fluid, it's a responsive network designed to act instantly when vessels are damaged, protecting the body from life-threatening blood loss. The first line of defense is platelets, tiny cells that look a bit like fragments of a small disc, circulating through the blood vessels. When a vessel is breached, platelets rush to the injury site and start sticking together, forming a temporary plug. Their surfaces change chemically, attracting more platelets and clotting proteins, setting off a cascade of reactions. This is the beginning of what we recognize as a blood clot. Next comes a series of enzyme-driven reactions that convert fibrinogen, a soluble protein in plasma, into long, fibrous strands of fibrin. These fibers weave into a mesh, trapping red blood cells and additional platelets. The result is a stable, flexible structure, the clot. Within minutes, the wound is sealed, and the body can begin the repair process. Beneath this fibrin network, skin and underlying tissue cells start dividing, rebuilding the damaged vessel. Blood clotting is more than just physically plugging a hole. It's a finely tuned chemical and biological system that minimizes the risk of infection and prevents excessive blood loss. Without it, even a minor cut could have dramatic consequences. For some people, unfortunately, this system doesn't work properly. Disorders like hemophilia prevent normal clot formation. Even a small cut can become a serious threat, because platelets can't act effectively and the enzymatic cascade is interrupted. For these individuals, every injury requires immediate medical attention, sometimes including replacement clotting factors delivered as medication. Interestingly, blood clotting only works under the right conditions. Temperature, plasma composition, calcium levels, and vitamin K are all crucial. Even slight deficiencies in any of these can slow or block the clotting process. That's why diet and vascular health play such a vital role. They determine how effectively the body's natural defense system works. When blood clots, it isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of repair. Over several days, enzymes gradually dissolve the clot, and the wound is covered with new tissue. It's like a tiny, self-repairing mechanism operating silently in the background, unseen yet essential for our survival. Every person carries an invisible code, their blood type. It's more than just letters and pluses or minuses scribbled on a hospital card. It's information that determines who can donate blood to who can safely receive a transfusion, and who could face life-threatening complications. The concept of blood types wasn't discovered until the 20th century. Before scientists understood it, transfusions were a game of chance. Doctors would inject blood from one person into another, often with tragic consequences. The recipient's body would reject unfamiliar cells, and the results could be fatal. Only with the knowledge of blood types did transfusions become safe. Today, blood types are known worldwide. They are systems that indicate the presence or absence of specific antigens on the surface of red blood cells. This information allows doctors to know which blood can be given safely, without triggering a dangerous immune reaction. In essence, a blood type is a key to safety, whether it's saving a life, planning a surgery, or managing chronic illness. The significance in medicine is enormous. Blood transfusions save lives in accidents, surgeries, and severe illnesses. Without knowledge of blood types, every procedure would be an experiment, and every treatment fraught with unimaginable risk. Thanks to this discovery, medicine moved from uncertain art to precise science. Blood types are also a powerful tool in population studies, genetics, and epidemiology. They help track human migrations, analyze inheritance patterns, and plan safe blood banks. It's a hidden code we all carry, one that determines not only whether we survive a transfusion, but also how science can protect us in life's most dramatic moments. Blood is a mirror of our body. Every drop carries information, revealing both the strength of life and its vulnerabilities. When something goes wrong, blood responds, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, signaling that the body is calling for help. One of the most common issues is anemia, a shortage of red blood cells or hemoglobin. In this condition, blood loses its ability to carry enough oxygen to the tissues. A person with anemia may feel constant fatigue, dizziness, pale skin, or shortness of breath with even minimal exertion. Causes vary: iron or vitamin deficiencies, chronic illnesses, or bone marrow disorders. Each drop of blood in this case is a signal that the body needs support. And diagnostic tests help pinpoint the cause and start treatment before symptoms become serious. Leukemia tells a different, more dramatic story. This is a cancer of blood cells, most often white blood cells, which flood the body in excessive and abnormal forms. Normal blood becomes chaotic, unable to fight infections, and clotting processes are disrupted. This disease highlights just how precisely our circulatory system functions and how sensitive each component of this complex machine truly is. Regular blood tests can detect leukemia early, when the chances of successful treatment are highest. Blood can also become a carrier of danger during infections, such as sepsis, HIV, or viral hepatitis. In these situations, the body fights for survival. HIV attacks the immune system, leaving it unable to defend against infections, while viral hepatitis can lead to chronic organ damage. Blood tests in these cases are absolutely crucial. They detect viruses, track disease progression, and allow doctors to monitor treatment effectiveness. Asterisk, the diagnostic power of blood is invaluable. A simple complete blood count can reveal deficiencies, inflammation, infections, and cancers. Analysis of enzyme levels, electrolytes, and viral markers gives doctors a map of the body's internal processes. Blood is a natural laboratory, full of information that, in skilled hands, saves lives and allows us to anticipate threats before they become dramatic. Every blood-related disease also shows how delicate the balance between health and illness is. A single change in red blood cell count, a minor disruption in the immune system, or the presence of a virus in the bloodstream can trigger a domino effect throughout the body. That's why blood tests have become a cornerstone of modern medicine. They let us see the invisible, act before it's too late, and understand that every drop of blood is not just a transporter of oxygen and nutrients, but also a story about what is happening deep inside our bodies. Not all creatures have red blood. In the animal kingdom, blood comes in a dazzling array of colors. Crustaceans like crabs and lobsters have blue blood because their oxygen is carried by copper rather than iron. Some mollusks have green blood, while certain worms have bright yellow blood. Nature shows us that the function of blood, carrying life, is universal, even if the chemistry behind it can be wildly different. These unusual colors are a testament to millions of years of evolution and adaptation to their environments. Blood is not just a life carrier. It can also be a potential threat. Viruses, bacteria, and parasites travel through it. Every drop can become a vehicle for disease, from viral hepatitis to HIV or malaria in tropical regions. This is why contact with another organism's blood requires caution and knowledge. Yet these same mechanisms also made modern medicine possible. Transfusions, bone marrow transplants, and diagnostic tests would be impossible without understanding how blood transports cells and substances. But blood is more than science. It's the physics of life in action. Every drop moves with such speed that it can deliver oxygen and nutrients to the farthest reaches of the body in a fraction of a second. In just 1 minute, the human heart pumps about 5 liters of blood, and every day, the total volume each of us circulates adds up to roughly 7,000 liters. It's an almost unimaginable flow, like a river that never stops. Even while we sleep, some animals possess seemingly magical abilities. In certain lizards and fish, blood clots so quickly that a wound can be sealed before a predator even notices. Some jellyfish have circulatory systems so simple that seawater directly delivers oxygen to their tissues. Yet it's enough to sustain life. Even mammals show astonishing adaptations. Whales and dolphins can store oxygen in their blood so efficiently that they can dive for tens of minutes without a single breath. Blood also carries the memory of life. DNA analysis can reveal not only a person's ancestry and genetic history, but also their exposure to diseases, viruses, or bacteria. Tiny vesicles in plasma hold traces of the body's interactions with its environment, chemical fingerprints of our experiences. Every blood test is, in a sense, a journey into the history of the body, allowing scientists and doctors to predict future risks or tailor treatments. Another fascinating fact is the rate of blood regeneration. Red blood cells live about 120 days before being replaced. Platelets regenerate in a matter of days, and white blood cells respond immediately to threats. Blood is a dynamic system, constantly renewing and adapting to the body's needs. Despite the immense work it does every day, we rarely notice it until a problem arises. Finally, consider its microscopic structure. One drop of blood contains millions of cells, each performing hundreds of tasks simultaneously. It's an orchestra of life perfectly synchronized. Thanks to blood, we can breathe, fight infections, heal wounds, and maintain a stable body temperature. Each drop carries not just chemistry and biology, but also the poetry of life, a fluid connecting us to the world, to nature, and to the long history of evolution.